Hey everyone, Jarvs here from Happy Volcano. Welcome back to our Get to Know Us series, where we shine a light on the people behind Modulus and give you a peek at the personalities helping to shape the game. Last time I sat down with Oliver from our engineering team, and today we've got something a little different. Our lead developer Mick and our art director Antoine are flipping the script and interviewing each other. Expect insight, a bit of friendly banter, and maybe a few surprises along the way. So, without further ado, I'll hand you over to the guys to introduce themselves. Over to you, Mick.
Thanks, Jarvs. Hey, hello everyone. We'll jump right into the questions. First one for you, Antoine. What games inspire you as a game maker?
As a game maker, I would say that I love world building and atmosphere in general. So I'd say games like Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Journey, Inside, those types of games where it's mostly all about the atmosphere. I'd say that Inside is to me one of the best crafted games ever, because to me it's perfect on every aspect of game design. The gameplay could be a little bit better, but it's still pretty good. But the lighting is perfect, the music is perfect, the sound effects, the VFX, the animations. I feel like it's super polished for such a small team at the time. So I really look at it like a great example of what I aspire to make.
Yeah.
What about you? What kind of games?
I can't disagree with Inside. Inside is so sick. I remember playing it, being super blown away, and then watching the GDC talks they did on how they did the lighting and all the tech art, and then being like even more of a fan. It was super sick.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like a lot of the games that I played fall into either like a co-op or competitive edge, and I've only recently started playing games that are like single player experiences, but it's always been, for me at least, like the snappy games. I've never played big RPGs. I've never been really into the story too much for a game. I play those games. I've played so much Minecraft in my life. I played so many fighting games and FPS shooters, just everything where you can smooth around. You're the character, you own the world. I love that so much. I think that's, if I had to name one game, it'd be Minecraft for me. Kind of a day one fan, always have been. But yeah, there's just so many. Can't name them all. Well, then as a follow-up question, what's your favorite game genre?
Well, since the games I just listed, I think it's quite obvious that adventure games are my favorite. I love exploring a new world, something that is not the real world, something that someone creative invented, and just roaming that world and going to the next place, like in Stalker, for example, or more recently, Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
The first 10 hours of Breath of the Wild to me were the best 10 hours of my gamer life, where it was just discovering that world, and you just roam randomly and you see a tower in the far away and you just go there, but in between you'll find 10,000 stuff to explore and you go away from that first objective. So yeah, as a player, I would say adventure games. As a game developer, I would love to work on the RTS. So I don't know why. I think it's also because of the type of art I do. It would be cool to make buildings and vehicles, and I was always a big fan of like Warcraft and Starcraft. Starcraft 2 might be the games I've played the most in my life.
Nice.
In number of hours. And I feel like it would be really fun to develop a RTS. Unfortunately, they're not super popular, so it's a big risk to make a new one. But yeah, one day I hope I'll make a RTS.
Yeah.
What about you? What game would you like to make?
I mean, as a maker, I would make an RTS with you. We should do this as a follow-up.
Yeah.
Have this be someone else's problem if it doesn't sell, and just have us make it. I think it's just such a good time. I played a lot of Warcraft 3. I love that game so much. That was me in school with my friends. You take it serious. You play it casually. You play there's just a little bit for every occasion. You can somehow be happy in Warcraft 3. I mean, that game is amazing. Yep. But I think for genres overall, the most games that I've liked are fighting games. So Street Fighter, I played a shitload of Street Fighter 4 when it came out, and then when it got all these weird updates where it changed a lot over the years, and all the way up to Street Fighter 5, which I didn't like as much, and then I went on to other fighting games. But that has been something that I just always really liked, how it's a limited game and you can express yourself. Like, you can tell from, even though you just have a few buttons, you can tell if it's your friend who's playing or some pro player you've seen a million times. I think fighting games have this unique little thing. Everyone sees the same thing as well. There's not two perspectives or anything. I think it's awesome. More on the topic, is there a game mechanic you think more games should be using?
So that's a tough one because there's so many, and thinking of one that is not used that much. It's not that it's not used much, but I was thinking of destructible environments. So let me explain. First of all, it's something that I find super fun and rewarding when you can blow up stuff in general. It's just easy and fun, quick fun. But it's often not connected to the gameplay or the level design. You know, it doesn't really impact it. It's just a gimmick. It's just a visual stuff. And I would like to see a game that really uses it as a game mechanic where it changes your line of sight, or you know, like a World War shooter or something where it really like you know the movie Stalingrad, where you're hiding a lot and but then the level design changes because there's bombs coming and stuff. That would be sick. I think to have that dynamically. There's a game I can think that uses it a lot is Teardown, which I really enjoyed. You know, it's the voxel game.
Yeah, I think I know.
Where you can destroy absolutely everything because of the voxel engine. So yeah, I'm thinking of this also because I'm a voxel artist, and voxels will work great with that.
Yeah.
Like you know, destructible crafting with voxels might be easier. And I thought also about a game mechanic that could be used in a better way is stealth in general. I feel like it's been 20 years that it's always used the same way.
Yeah.
It's like you crouch, you're not in the cone of vision. Maybe you're in the shadow a bit, but my best memory was Splinter Cell Chaos Theory in multiplayer, where you played the spy or the mercenary, I think they were called.
Yeah.
And you would really use the lighting and stuff. And I wish we could have a really well made with Unreal Engine 5 Lumen stuff with great lighting, like really polished AAA thing where it's really all about hide and seek. Because I love the concept of hide and seek, the thrill of it, and yeah, I like to see a new take on stealth.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, we played a lot, my friends and I, GTFO in the last year and the year before that, and there's something about the modern day like lighting systems where it's actually pitch black, but it's stealth in the context of like zombies, right? It's stealth where you can't wake them up, but they have some levels where you are in the full dark and you don't see a zombie necessarily unless you really run into it. And then you have to be quiet as well, of course, right? Because they have really good, like they hear everything basically. And then there's a lot of like, it's co-op, so everyone's volume kind of gets added together. So if everyone moves a little bit, it's also bad, you know, only a few people can move. And then there's sometimes like a toxic cloud of gas where you have to go through and you can't be slow, you know, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see more stealth. I mean, that'd be, when you said Splinter Cell, it unlocked an entire chapter in my brain about my childhood that I had almost forgotten. But yes, stealth games were the stuff for a while.
Did you play Thief 2 when back then, or were you old enough?
No, I saw it being played a lot by older kids. Yeah.
Because when it came out, I'm a bit older than you, but it was maybe the first stealth game, the inventor of it almost. It was amazing to discover that, where you could take an arrow which had some water at the tip of it, and just turn off the torches in the dungeon, you know, and then the light will come down, and then you'd be invisible to enemies and stuff. Back then, it was nuts to interact with light like that. Yeah, that was really good.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have to maybe go back and play some of these old ones. I also thought about game mechanic that I would like to see in games more for a little bit, and I also found it really difficult. There's a lot of game mechanics I really enjoy being in many games. I love a good dash, if a game has like a sick dash, and I love like cool like dashes that have like animation cancels. You like dash onto a ladder or something, and then you get to, it's usually movement stuff. If a game could bring back Quake 3 strafe jumping, you know, the weird, like you have to move your crosshair and counter strafe with your keys so that you can really abuse the last pixels out of something. Whenever you can kind of like bunny hop through a game, I think, you know, I'll try it out.
Did you play Rocket Arena?
Yeah, I played some Rocket
Because
Arena.
rocket jumping, that was so cool.
Of course, yeah, that was the best thing. I think, if anything, strafe jumping. I used to play the old Enemy Territory, like the from Splash Damage, and it was based on Quake 3 engine. And they would do like fans would build maps where you would only practice these jumps, which were really important for like multiplayer. You could be like jumping onto an objective that you shouldn't reach yet. And so it would just be the map where it's a small situation from one of these levels. And then if you reach like the jump, if you made it, then you'd get into the next room and there'd be another level. So they would pick the parts where you had to jump. And I would play those more than the actual game. And then still miss my jumps in the real games because under pressure it's different. But no, those were good times. All right, I have a really difficult question for you, Antoine, and I expect a perfect answer. If you had to automate something in real life, what would it be?
That's such a hard question. I was trying to think of something, like super nice, like how to end hunger or something, something like not for myself. And then all I came up with was like chores, like vacuuming, washing and stuff, because it's such a waste of time. And if I could automate that, so that's a very, very selfish answer. I don't want to automate too much. It's part of life, doing it. It's like automating a drawing. No, the fun is not the end result. It's the while you're making it. It's the journey that matters.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I see it. All old people tell you it's not the goal, it's the journey, but it's so true. And enjoy it, even if sometimes it's hard. So yeah, there's not that many. I would automate stuff that is annoying to do or that could help other people, but I can't think of anything.
Nothing in your life. Your life has as much manual labor as necessary.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Must be.
What
nice.
about you? Yeah, it's a privilege for sure. What about you?
I would like to automate like really small inconveniences. Like I would really like it if I had a phone case that is also a drone and could bring my phone if I forgot it at home. I think that'd be sick. If you could just call your phone with like, just make it come to wherever you're going. And then you don't have to worry about it. It should just always stay in the vicinity outside of reach. So I don't have to see it all the time. It's not loud. But when I look for it, it should already, know and be coming. I think that'd be perfect. Just a little, I mean, that's obviously a stupid idea, but I think that's the kind of stuff I would see. Or my keys. I would like there to be a system where my keys just like I can just, when I come home, throw them somewhere and they would like be in my pocket of my coat next time I leave the house,
Yeah.
And I can never run
on their own.
Yeah. I don't want to have to worry about it.
Oh, wait. Actually, automating driving, I wouldn't mind it too much.
Same. But
when you do long distance drives, if you could, I kind of like driving too, but like if you have an 8-hour drive, you could do the first hour and the last hour and then just cruise control. That would be
What I think is a really like almost the best use case for automated driving for me would be that you can go somewhere and then your car comes pick you up.
Yeah.
I think that'd be the best thing. Like I don't want to have to bring my car somewhere.
Yeah.
Until I decide that is what I want to do.
It's like your own personal automatic Uber that just drives you anywhere.
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
Oh, that'd be great.
If we could get that, please. If
It's just lazy stuff. We're just lazy.
That's true. Let's follow up with one of the hard ones too. What was the first video game you played, and do you think it shaped your love for games?
So I'm gonna look really old. The first game I ever played was on Macintosh, Apple Macintosh, and it was called. There's two that I can think of. It's my two first games ever. It was my dad's computer. One was called Social Climber. I had to look it up. I couldn't remember the name.
That's crazy.
It's just like it's basically Frogger, but you're in a building and it's elevators that are moving up, and you have to get out and not be squished, and you just have to keep going up.
Oh.
And the second one is a bit cooler. It's called Dungeon of Doom, and it was the shareware version of the Dungeon Revealed, which is some kind of a bit like wizardry. Some kind of roguelike in dungeons, but it was 2D from top down, not that Doom or Wolfenstein vision, but more top down, and it was really like an adventure game with knights and wizards and stuff like that, but it really low pixel art. So those are and it definitely piqued my interest in video games, like, oh, interactive stuff, that's cool. But the first one that made me crazy about video games is I went to a friend who had a Nintendo, the first Nintendo, the NES, and he had Metroid, the first ever Metroid, and I think I was 6 years old like it was a 88 or something like that, 89. I don't know, maybe 90. And yeah, I was like, this looks like a to me it looked like a cartoon that you could interact with. If you look at screenshots now, you're like, that doesn't look like a cartoon. But as a kid, I was oh my god, ooh, hello there.
Hello. Yeah, I'm being attacked softly.
So yeah, Metroid, and I'll say last one, the one that I was Joe dropping was the first time I played on arcade. I was 9 years old on arcade Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
The first time ever I played Street Fighter 2 was mental. And when I got it on the Super Nintendo at home, having the arcade at home, that was mind blowing.
That's a crazy system. That's experience when you saw something somewhere else and then you could play it at home.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the moments. I don't think nowadays, I don't want to sound I'm not that much younger than you, comparatively. But for me, like one of the games I played when I was a kid on the PC was FIFA 97 or 98. And I do remember how it looks, right? And it's one of those moments where I saw it in a store somewhere and I was like, that's crazy that they can do this with all this technology in one of these stores. And then you come home and my dad bought it for me and I was like, that is impossible. How can it be? How can it be on this computer? And back in the day, I didn't understand anything about making video games or computers. So in my head, I was like, somebody must have thought of every scenario, in this game. And you could play the ball anywhere and it's just correct every time. And I was so hooked.
They have a script for every direction of the ball and passes and possible outcome of games.
I think the first time I had my mind blown, like really think that was impossible to do, was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. There was another one of those games in my childhood. And I think to this day that has not gone away. I think Roller Coaster Tycoon is one of the most insane, that shouldn't exist. That's just very much, that is just life by accident, producing something so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. I still haven't played what's the Planet Coaster or whatever it's called.
The 3D version of it?
Well, the one of the later ones, yeah. But
Yeah,
I kind of have
it
on my list this whole time. I'm like, one day I'll be, if I ever have to stay home for 6 weeks and like break both my legs or something, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be just playing roller coasters and feel like a kid again.
What's your first game ever that you played?
I think technically the first games that I played would have been maybe Age of Empires 2.
Good one. That's a good one to start with.
I didn't have my dad had a PC, but I never had a console. And so we didn't really have games that I didn't have my own games and I didn't play as much until I was like fairly old. I think like 14, 15 is when I basically got access to the family PC and I got to play games. And because I remember pretty soon, one of the first games I played a lot and that I really was obsessed with was Unreal Tournament 2004. So that must have been late, that was kind of late. But that was my first shooter and first WASD mouse controlled game. Yeah. And I thought they invented it. I thought it was so crazy.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I loved that era, like late 90s or early 2000 with all the new FPS, like Quake Arena, Capture the Flag, Team Fortress, Counter-Strike, Unreal Tournament, all of those, they all came, there was so many, it was so popular. Yeah, it was cool.
Good times, man. Good times. But it's really only gone up. That's the crazy thing. I mean, I still, to this day, play a lot of I thought about this recently. Still, to this day, I'll throw on a round of Counter-Strike or, I'll play something that had its origins, that long ago. It just, sometimes the classics are just, remain timeless forever.
Yeah.
All right, I have more questions for you.
Go for it.
This one also I find difficult to answer for myself, but I'll see what you say. Are you a completionist, a speedrunner, or a chaotic experimenter when you play games?
So none of those, I would say. It's I like speedrun. I never did that. I can see why some people enjoy it, but it never attracted me. Chaotic experimenter neither. And full completionist, where you go for 100% achievements and stuff. No. But if I had to choose, it would be a little bit more towards completionist, especially as I love adventure games. I'm always scared I'm gonna miss a part of the world. So for example, in the Last of Us, I would check in you enter a warehouse or a building, I will check every room just to be sure. And it's also because for the beauty of it, the art they created, I want it. And sometimes they leave little Easter eggs, or you'll have the characters say something special if you discover a certain object that was hidden. And I love those moments where you could have missed it, and but they still created it, the game developers, and they know that 5% of the players are gonna see it. But as a player, it's so rewarding. Like, oh, let's go look there where I'm not supposed to go, and you find something. Those are sometimes the best moments. But yeah, it's a tough question.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a speedrunner for the fact that I don't have a lot of patience when playing games. And that's also why, like, you'll hear me be an opponent of everything that doesn't let me play fast or the way I want to. I'm like always let the players figure it out. But it leads, I think it's like nowadays, it's something you can easily be in the combination with like social media, Reddit, figuring out, how's the game supposed to be played. And I really enjoy it. I mean, I've done speedruns by myself, never done the ones where, people sit down and they really practice a speedrun of something. But I have like played games that are funny if you speedrun, and otherwise they're pretty slow. I've played the GoldenEye speedrun like lines. I've tried it because I know all the memes and I know of like the culture behind it, and I really like watching videos of people doing speedruns. I've watched the games done quick basically every time.
Yeah.
Never like as a stream, but I'll always like check it out after a while, see what I missed. And I really enjoy the videos where it's like devs watching the speedrunners of their own games.
Yeah, that's great.
That is fantastic. You see someone like clip through the first door, and all the devs are like, no, it's going to be so much work for me when I come back to the office.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Yeah. And then I think if it's not speedrunner, it'd be a little bit more chaotic experimenter. I really enjoy when games are a tool and you give it to the players and then they decide what to make with it. And I think a lot of the games that I've played most are like this a little bit, where, for example, like Smash Bros, I've played a lot of Melee, still play it like every week. And that is one of the classic games where it's like, oh, we thought you'd use it like this a little bit, but then the people take it to, that next level over and over again for many years. So, and that game is also just zooming. I've just sometimes play, like, I don't practice, but if I play by myself, I'm playing to get fast. I'm playing to, to zoom around. That's what I want. I want to be schmoving. I don't want to be completing. I've never completed. I haven't picked half the characters on the select screen ever. And I've played thousands of hours. I just want to be good at one. And I'm not. That's not what it's about. It's just about going fast, I think.
Yeah, I agree for competitive games. I also play them to get better. And I want to be the best or stuff like that. So yeah, StarCraft 2, I played until I was in the Diamond League, which is the highest. Nice. And then I stopped. It was like I achieved it. But I have to be honest, I play FIFA every day for the last 20 years.
I am very disappointed in you, and you are grounded.
I'm a bit ashamed of saying that. After all the cool games I said, like Shadow of the Colossus, inside, I play FIFA the most, and I'm really good at it, and I enjoy the competitiveness of it, and so I keep playing for that competitiveness. So it's a bit of it's not speedrunning, but mastering a game can be super exciting.
Yeah, if a game lets you be faster by like sliding instead of walking, or by like hopping all the time, are you a slider and a hopper, or do you press W because you don't want a game to look goofy and be stupid? Like if it's 1% faster to just spam spacebar, do you do it?
It would depend on the kind of game.
Single player, story based.
Like for example, if it was The Last of Us, which is really realistic, and I care about the characters and the story, I wouldn't want it to look goofy.
Yeah.
But if it's for example, Celeste. The platformer, I would use all the tools they give me to go as fast as possible, but that's the whole point of the game. So that's not a good example.
But inside,
if it's a bit,
if you play inside, you don't hop. You're not a hopper. He has a really slow jump too.
Not on the first run. Okay. I might do it afterwards, but if I'm really into the atmosphere and everything, I don't like breaking the disbelief. What's the
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, I don't want to break that.
Makes sense. One thing I try out on a lot of like on the Switch games is I'll always spin the control stick really fast and see what happens when can you make characters, spin. Like that is something also in I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile 2, which now has WASD controls and looks where the mouse is. So if you take the mouse to the perfect pixel under the feet and you go in a tiny circle, the character just starts tornadoing, and I love that it's possible. And I'll never walk straight anywhere. I'll just be, if you can be spinning, why would you be walking, right? So I'm a hopper and I'm a slider and
a spinner.
And a spinner, yeah. I like it. This one's probably the toughest. If you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be?
So to me, it's the easiest answer. Because to me, that implies replayability.
Yeah.
And to me, there's only one that comes out right away. It's Tetris.
That's crazy.
It's Tetris.
It's a good
answer. It doesn't
answer.
get old. It doesn't get old. It's always fun. You can pick it up, and it's always fun.
It's good. It's a good answer.
Because it's for the rest of your life. I was thinking a game that takes a long time to beat. So I was thinking like Final Fantasy VII, the original one. I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
And you can play 100 hours, 200 hours. But replaying that constantly, all your life, must be boring. Tetris doesn't get boring. It's always fun.
Tetris is a great answer. We played a lot of Tetris on the Switch, the one that is very psychedelic and has like a music integration where when you drop the blocks, the beats kind of like synchronize to it. I don't know if you've played it.
Is it Tetris Effect? Yeah.
There's a good chance. It got successful because of the cool sound integration. I remember that.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's very crazy. Like it's just Tetris, right? That's really the only things. You start in the darkness and then sometimes these like jellyfish appear, and if you play faster, the music kind of like builds up. It's great. I think it's a fantastic answer. I couldn't playing Tetris all the time. Like I would lose my mind. I already lose my mind playing Tetris for 2 hours. I mean, it's not like you have to play it 24/7, but I'd be missing something.
What would you choose then?
I think it would have to be Smash Brothers. It would be Melee for the GameCube. But
even if you're alone?
Yeah, that's a good question. No. If you're alone, that's boring.
So if you're on an island alone.
I think if I'm alone, I play Trackmania. I think that'd be my answer. Just racing, and it's super snappy. I don't know if you've played much Trackmania.
A little bit.
But that is a very deep game that you can master. I would ask that they give me the times for the world records, though. If I'm on the island, I want to know what is the medal I need to beat. But then I'd sit down and do nothing except try and like grind the campaign. And then I come back and I race every track once, and I'm the best. And then I disappear to the island again, and everyone's freaked out. Yeah.
I thought you would have answered Minecraft because of all the possibilities.
Yeah, it's true. But Minecraft...
A sandbox,
I get Minecraft binges where I really like Minecraft with every expansion you can enable. I love when they overlap the extensions and you like, oh, this is from the mystical package, but this is from the factory package. And then they don't really make sense together, but you can do whatever you want. That is true. But I mean, I would never play Minecraft by myself on an island. Like that wouldn't be...
Yeah.
All right, cool. So besides games, what's the random skill or hobby you have that people might not expect?
Hobbies are a bit connected to gaming since I'm a game artist. It would be like, drawing, sculpting, photography, stuff like that. So it's a little bit connected. But one skill that I have that is not connected to it is, well, I used to be an expert in web marketing.
Ooh.
And I even wrote a book about it.
I didn't
So
know.
that's my previous life. Yeah, my previous career. I was a web marketing expert, and yeah, even wrote a book for like students and stuff like that.
Antoine,
Previous life.
Can't believe you've never mentioned your book.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm gonna buy your book.
No,
No, I want it.
it's old. It's old now. It's it's 15 years old.
Oof, okay.
Damn.
Web marketing has changed in 15 years.
Yep, it did. Yep.
Oh well.
What about you? I think I know your answer.
Yeah, I have one go-to answer. It's the reason that my tag in all games ever has been juggle. It's because I love juggling. I've done it a lot less. I'm slowly getting interested in it again. I did it in high school the most. And I was in a club after school, and I had friends that were, for some reason, really good at it. And then we did we even went to like festivals, we went to conventions, and we'd be juggling. And you go there, and everyone's super like happy to teach you. There's a saying in the world of juggling where magic and magic tricks there's a big divide between people who do magic and people who juggle, because magic tricks, if you reveal how it's done, anyone can do it. And in juggling, it's the opposite. It's where you tell someone how to do it, and then that's only the starting point of where they can try and do it.
Yeah.
And I really like the coordination of it, the hand-eye coordination. I practiced juggling 5 balls for a really long time, and I can keep it steady for a little bit. What I would really like to be able to do is have some nasty tricks in out of a 5-ball cascade and just whip it out. Because it's the number of utensils where it starts, where if you make a mistake, it's followed by a chaotic amount of drops. 3 balls, they drop and they kind of go 1 to 3, and maybe one rolls a little bit away. But in 5, you can be sure that they land all over the place. And so if you do a steady 5-ball pattern, you do a sick trick and you catch them all. That's how, to me, that is how you can really show off. I think that'd be sick. I have to get back into it. I have some flying around. I have some clubs somewhere, but I haven't done it in a while. And it's kind of a summer thing for me to go into the park and juggle a little bit, when you're hanging out with friends.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because you talking about it made me remember the scene in The Office where Will Ferrell juggles.
Oh,
but he juggles without anything.
oh, it's so good.
So he's air juggling, and he's like this, and it's so funny.
That's great. Juggling isn't unfunny by nature. There's something really, really comical about it, and always good mood. One thing that people don't expect, I think, about it is there's a huge mathematical component. There's a programming-esque syntax where you can write down a pattern of juggle movements, and you say how high and if the ball's swapping hands or not. And then you can calculate with algorithms whether a pattern is possible. And there's even people who basically have the computer generate a trick for you and say, oh, what if you throw this one in, if a regular height is 3 because you have 3 balls and that's the height they call it. If you throw one for a 9, and then you can do a lot of really fast movements, and then it comes back down. If you can do that consistently, which nobody can, then that's that's a whole aspect of it that is really
Never
crazy.
thought about it that way.
It's
I always thought more about the rhythm and of it, and I was thinking more a connection with music that about the rhythm, and I don't have any rhythm, so every time I tried juggling, it was a disaster. Do you have rhythm?
I think I do, yeah. Not because I'm a musician, but from juggling, I have some. My wife, she plays the drums and always has, and when I see her tap on the table, I know that I don't have rhythm like someone who who actually has it. That is really impressive. For some reason, she can keep a perfect beat, and then when I juggle, it's still I wish I could be more steady with it. I think there's people like me who I fix a lot of errors as I go. It's not a very nice, stable pattern, but that's okay.
Same as a game developer.
Yeah, a little bit, right? I think that makes sense. As a person, you're either a stable, controlled person in everything you do, or not, and then you just have to fix your own mistakes. If you weren't working in game development, or let's say if you weren't working in what you did before either, because that would be cheating, what would you be doing instead?
As you said, obviously, if I was not in game dev, I would still be web marketing. But my childhood dream was to be a game developer, so that's cool. I made that. But my other dream, if it was not that, was architect. I always wished I was an architect, which is a bit funny because the 2 games I worked on is Industries of Titan and Modulus, and I'm mostly creating buildings in those games, so there's a bit of an architect in that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I could see that in you. I could see you being an architect. I think as a kid, I thought architect was a really glamorous job. And then I have some friends who were adjacent to architecture, and it seems like a really difficult job and also very technical.
There's fun parts. I think the beginning is very fun. The beginning of the project when you're just creating, but then the follow up and the technicalities and the clients, just managing your clients and their expectations and what they want, and but you have the vision and they want, yeah, but I like this, yeah, but it sucks, yeah, but oh my god, yeah, I'm not sure it's that glamorous job, but it's still a very cool job.
Not as like as glamorous as game development, which is really just good times all around. That there's no hard times, like there's no difficulties around it, which is nice.
Yeah, but I also really like the idea of building something that is real.
Yeah.
That is there, like a house, or imagine people who create buildings for like museums and stuff. It's such an achievement, like in a city. That was made by the MoMA was made by, I forget his name, but it's such an achievement, and it's for a long time also.
That's true. I think if you make those buildings, you get there by being weirdly about your own ego a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You have to be. Like if you create something for the centuries, like that has to be something that gets to your head. No, but I understand, man. I think it's actually, that's the part I'm missing, and that I'm compensating with my hobbies, is doing stuff that isn't digital, right? Because digital work is
manual work. Yeah.
I think I'd love to work on, like, actually I could be a woodworker. I could. I've been repairing a chair that has like a, when there's a basket kind of pattern, and it like fell through, and I've been replacing it, and I'm doing a horrible job, but I'm having a really good time.
Yeah.
I think if that were a feasible job career, I could see myself doing it. But
same.
I think my real dream job, that maybe I will just still do someday, but I think you have to really like investing a lot of effort to get there, would be a live caster for probably video games or also sports. I could see that. But I love moderating, and I really enjoy consuming, a moderated stream or a moderated show or something.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. For some reason, they add such an extra layer to the experience for me. I'll watch tournament streams of almost any game if the casting's good.
Yeah, it changes a lot for sure.
Yeah. I'd love to do that. But, Rockstar.
I could see you do that.
Thanks.
As an extrovert, I'm an introvert. I couldn't do that.
I've done it for our small streams where we play Smash, and that, sometimes our friends watch, but it's on Twitch. And I realize how much of a craft it is. Like there's another guy there who's really good at it, who's done it for Warcraft 3 also a lot. Did a lot of casting, which is awesome, still does it. And you can tell that there's so much practice in it and actual technique that you have to think about. Like I always thought it'd be cool to be like this, but I never thought about how to get there, how to practice for it. But then again, he's also like a really good rapper, so that probably helps. Maybe I have to be a rapper first. That could be my intermediate career.
We have one rapper in the team.
Wait, who raps?
I'm not gonna spoil it. Might be in the next video.
That's crazy.
I'm teasing for next videos.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm assuming
you're welcome, Jarvs.
Oh my god. That's awesome. All right.
But yeah, we have a rapper.
That's crazy.
As a hobby.
That's awesome.
You'll see.
I can't wait for the next video then. Until then, this is actually a great question. I really like to hear what you say. What is the best piece of advice you've gotten for your career?
So I thought about it, and it's not a direct advice, but it was more what I took from that conversation that became an advice for myself. And I'm gonna indulge me with a little bit of name dropping. I was chatting with Chris Bourassa. He's the founder and art director of Red Hook, who made Darkest Dungeon. We were both in Vancouver, and he was friend with my boss, so we hanged out a lot, and I really admired that guy. And great games also, Darkest Dungeon 1 and 2. And I was telling him that I had a strong case of imposter syndrome. It was also because it was my first gig in the video game industry, and he told me that he did too. And I was like, if that guy has it, and he's an extremely talented artist, I was like, if he has it, every artist has it. So forget about it, Like, it doesn't matter that imposter syndrome. Stop thinking about it, because they all have it. So it was a good way of a good relief. Like, it's okay.
That.
Yeah. So it was cool to hear from someone that you really look up to and respect, and you think they're really talented, even them, they feel that way. So
That's a sick.
yeah.
That's a sick like insight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no level at which you like technically overcome the imposter syndrome. I think to a degree it also gets worse because the more you do, the more you realize what you're not able to, or like you have to like open up your career like as it advances sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's just so much stuff. I have it too at times, and then I get out of it by just trying not to care about, just trying to do my best. I think that's
Yeah.
you just look down a little bit more. Don't look up so much always. Like there's always going to be cracked people left and right, and you don't have to be the best. That's awesome. I had a project manager at an older job I had tell me, and that I thought was really nice. She gave me the quote. I wish I looked it up now. It's the quote of like, "Oh, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar," I think is the quote. And it was really about me, as it was really like personal advice, not about career so much, but like you said, as an extroverted person who likes to talk, it's really extra important that you make sure that the way that you communicate is, I think the book we read later was called Nonviolent. I think that's the idea. And you and I have talked about this here as well. I mean, we're like further in our careers, but I think it's really like communication really comes down to how you make someone feel. And it's such a big part of, you can be saying the smartest things or the most correct things, but you could be doing it in a way that doesn't do you any favors at all. And so like the path of empathy and of understanding the other person is always the first and correct path, no matter what. Even if the other person, you don't like them personally, or even if you don't, maybe they're far away and it's easy for you to abstract away how that person feels. And I really liked that talk I had with her. In general, it came down to just try and be as nice as possible all the time.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
Yeah, I agree. It makes me think that as an advice that I would give, especially when you're interviewing people for a new position at your work, the biggest question I ask myself is, do I see myself working with them? Like, will I enjoy spending time with them, seeing them every day? And I think in every job, the people you work with is the number one thing.
Yeah.
How it feels to communicate with them, to spend time with them. The game we're making, you could be making the game of your dreams, but with shitty people. that would really suck.
Yeah.
But making I don't want to diss on mobile games, but you know what I mean. Like there's some small mobile games that are a bit silly, and you're like, yeah, it's not great. But if the team you're with is amazing, it's the best job ever.
Yeah.
It all comes down to your colleagues.
It sounds that simple, right? But then to remind yourself every now and then that that's what it's about, I think that's so true.
Yeah. So yourself, be that person that you want to work with,
Yeah.
Like So if everyone does it, it will work out.
All right, cool. One last. If you could trade jobs with any other member of our team or like our company, who would you trade with?
The CEO to get all the money.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, I'm joking. Seriously, I would say tech artist, because to me they're so overpowered.
Yeah.
They know how to program, they know how to do art, and they can do anything, especially visually. I myself feel sometimes constrained by not being able to code or make shaders or stuff like that. And sometimes I have a vision, and I'm like, I want to do that, but I can't without the help of a tech artist. And the other way around is not true. They can do anything.
Yeah.
And if you're a good tech artist, my God, you're so overpowered, and every company will want you. And there's always a place for good tech artists.
It's true.
And I also would, if it was, as you said in the question, for a day, to me it's a little bit of magic, and I would love to sit next to them and see how they do it.
Yeah.
Like, where do they start? Like a new shader, and I need to learn more on my own too, but there's so much we need to learn.
I also want to learn. I also want to do tech art more. I agree 100% with everything you're saying. I didn't think that if I traded jobs with a tech artist, I could be doing their job. I mean, that's not what the question is, but I'd feel really overwhelmed. I feel like that is a really tough job.
Yeah.
But I guess all of them are. I would trade with you. I would love to be an artist for a little bit.
Aww.
I think I have a really good time like working with art and working assets. I think it'd be so sweet if I got to sit down and make a building, and then I I would stress out being an artist more than a developer, I think. Because as an artist, there's different ways. As a developer, usually, if you do it within kind of like, there's a lot of references on how you're supposed to do something. And then if you do it right, it's a very clear thing of looking at it and saying, yeah, that's okay work, right? That's good. But as an artist, I think I'd be really harsh towards myself. I think I'd be really like, I would love to design a building like you do, with with the recipes where I get all the modules, and I would probably never finish because I think that would stress me out.
Yeah, especially the way we do buildings where there's a lot of constraints, gameplay constraints. It's like I can't build the building I want.
Yeah.
I have to settle with the best thing I can do with the modules that were given to me and the number of modules. So yeah, that's a difficult one. I'm never satisfied, but I do the best I can with what I have. But yeah, it's a tricky one, but it's still rewarding.
All right, cool. We made it through the questions.
Yep, that was nice.
Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this. I learned a little bit about you, but also that we have someone on the team who raps.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go check out who it is and pressure them into telling me.
Yeah, look forward to the next video, maybe.
Awesome. All right, man. Have
Bye,
a good
everyone.
day, dude. Bye-bye.
See ya.
And there you have it, a little window into the minds behind the mechanics and the look of Modulus. We'll be bringing you more of these Get to Know Us interviews over the coming months, so you can meet the rest of the team and see how each of us contribute to the building of Modulus. Plus, we've got a bunch of juicy content on the game itself coming up, so if you want to see more behind the scenes goodness, dev deep dives, and gameplay features, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.